For today's thrift store challenge, we are headed off to Anthropologie to get loads of inspiration as well as look at their website. And then we are headed off to the thrift store to see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. In order to really capture that Anthropologie style, I think it is that one part really feminine, kind of dainty, quirky kind of decor, but then it's balanced with some really rustic pieces. A lot of their pottery pieces, especially on their website, have a kind of distressing to them. They're heavily textured. And sometimes you really do just get lucky at the thrift store and find really beautiful, true kind of terracotta clay pots that are exactly the color, the shape, the style that you're looking for. However, you want to take into account, especially if you're shopping at the bins, the weight that something might be. So at my Goodwill outlet, anything over 10 pounds is then half off. And because this is considered a glassware item, it's just 25 cents per pound, which made this really beautiful, almost in like perfect condition. I had to touch up a few spots, but this pot was just under $5 and is so perfect. Can be used all year long, indoor or outdoor, with fresh florals or a plant. Pieces like this are really versatile, so if you see them, I always recommend picking them up. However, when you're thrifting pottery, more often than not, at least one or two modifications might need to be made. So my initial thought for this was I was just going to paint it white to get it to look like the one from Anthropologie. Last minute decided to, instead of paint it, just sand off that high contrast porous texture just to give it a more kind of earthy feel, which is definitely more my aesthetic. Interesting thing about this piece of pottery was it already had a really nice sized drainage hole at the bottom, but rather than use it for that reason, I decided to turn it into one of these really trendy kind of rustic table lamps that are super expensive on high-end retailer websites. I took the lid off of an old container, drilled a hole through that so I would be able to stick my lighting component through, and that way that could stay nice and sturdy. Fished the remainder of the cord through the bottom so I could plug it in, added a previously thrifted lampshade that I had on hand, and this was the end result. Something comparable at Anthropologie would cost hundreds of dollars. So taking something secondhand and just kind of repurposing not only gives me the look I'm trying to achieve, but at a price point I can afford. Which of course now brings me to lighting, which is one of the most expensive areas through Anthropologie, I would say. Wall art, mirrors, furniture, and lighting, that's where things can get just really crazy expensive. And a common material used throughout Anthropologie's website that is very expensive is marble. Finding marble pieces at the thrift store is definitely possible. One really nice thing about marble, alabaster, those materials, travertine, those materials will really stand the test of time. I ended up finding this carved marble table lamp for just $8. I did a Google image search and it turns out a pair of these is selling for over $2,000 on Cherish. I'm not sure if it's actually worth that, but even still, $8 is a steal in comparison to any marble table lamp you would find through Anthropologie. One thing that I definitely needed to do was give this lamp a major cleaning. I just used a marble cleaner from the Dollar Tree. It worked perfectly just to give it a good shine again. And then also there were a few pieces of tape that were really just stuck on there, so I had to spend some time removing those. But the main issue was I really needed to find a lampshade for this table lamp. I always buy my lampshades at the thrift store because they are so much more affordable. They're usually around $3, which is exactly how much I paid for each one of these lampshades. One thing you want to pay attention to is your lampshade fitter. So for a spider lampshade, you usually have to have some sort of a harp for the lampshade to sit on top of. So this did already come with the harp, but as you can see here, you're never supposed to see that socket there. So I decided to remove that part and instead use an Uno lampshade so that way it would sit nice and low and cover that electrical part. So even if your thrifted table lamp comes with a harp, you don't necessarily have to use it, especially if you're finding that it seems disproportionate to the base. Whenever I'm thrifting for really great lighting, I always just like to refer back to the inspiration. So maybe this shade here is perfect, maybe just add some sort of a wooden base, or this piece here might just benefit from a good clean. One material I'm seeing kind of a surge of, especially over the last 6 months, I would say, is nickel, stainless steel, more chrome pieces than I have in years prior. So when I found this light here, I thought this would be perfect for my son's room. It just really needed to be cleaned. So I just used a cleaner specific for nickel, which is what this lamp is made of, gave it a good polish. If you're just starting out, thrifting your lighting can save you a significant amount of money when furnishing your space. We cannot talk about Anthropologie and not talk about all of the amazing candles that they have. They have every different style, shape, size you can think of. They're always a little quirky, a little fun. They have some personality to them. When I was at the Goodwill bins, I found this chandelier here. So I just decided to take the parts that I wanted, which were just the florals. Reminded me so much of this piece here from Anthropologie, as well as many other varieties of the same kind of look. Thrifted this base piece here for just 50 cents, and we're just going to combine the two pieces together. So in order to do that, I needed to drill a small hole through the bottom of this plate, and I'm just going to widen one of the metal flowers so that way a taper candle can fit inside of here. Whenever drilling through metal, just add a little bit of tape so you get a nice clean kind of cut there, and then just pick a drill bit that's similar in size, maybe a little bit smaller, so then that way you get a nice tight fit in there. Tested out the screw before adding the floral component inside, and then simply screwed the two pieces together. For the color, just to kind of unify everything and make it feel a little bit more like my space, I just decided to spray paint first with just some metallic brass spray paint, and then just gave a dusting of black spray paint to make it look a little bit more patinaed. I think for just a few dollars, we get an overall really similar look, but on a major budget. In the same kind of category, lanterns are really popular, lots of different styles on Anthropologie's website, and you can also just kind of create your own version of that using thrifted items. So for example, I found this piece here, as well as this little piece for just a few dollars. Found this wall hook for just $1 at the Hartville thrift shop. We're just going to combine all of the pieces together for under $10 and make a hanging lantern. I do plan on using this outside for solar lighting come spring and summer, but for right now we are just going to use a little rechargeable magnetic puck light so that way it stays nice and put. I did hammer down that prong that was sticking up so that way I could get a nice kind of clean connection between the puck light and the base of what was once a candle holder. And we're just going to simply combine all the pieces together. These are great in areas if you don't have awesome electricity going there or just lighting in general. You can just pop this right up and it gives just a little bit more light, and it also looks beautiful. Moving along now into wooden decor from Anthropologie, always a little something extra added to those wooden pieces. They're very rarely just plain and simple. And I've shared with you guys so many different ways to kind of transform these wood rounds. I find these all the time at the thrift store, or you can just find really beautiful things as they are brand new from the thrift store. More often than not, however, you'll find a really great wooden piece that either is missing a piece or is damaged in some way. And in this case, I believe there used to be a bottom piece. I think this was a table at some point, and then also it was damaged in one small area. But because it was only $5, the fix was rather easy, and we're just going to repurpose it in a different way. Started out by just taking some wood glue and just kind of filling in that slot there that was starting to disconnect. Just wrap it with a rubber band and let it sit for a few hours. While Anthropologie does just have really beautiful live edge wall shelving, and I could have done that, but I really love from Anthropologie their bath trays. They just feel really special, but they are pretty expensive. So I just decided to take some extra hardware that I had on hand. I think the brass makes it feel a little bit more Anthropologie. I think if I were to do matte black hardware, it would come across a little bit more industrial. Placed the brass hardware just doing some E6000 so I get a nice industrial strength hold. And this is how it turned out. For $5, I think it makes a really beautiful impact in my bathroom space. Another type of wood I see often on Anthropologie's website is burl wood. About a month ago, I found this burl wood shelf that was originally from Hobby Lobby and wasn't that expensive to begin with, but I probably paid around $1 for it. I also found this round piece here that I'm sure had a mirror in it, but the only piece that was at the bins was this piece here. So I just felt to give it a little bit more visual interest, I wanted to combine the two pieces together. In order to do that, I decided to just pre-drill some small holes because I wasn't sure if this piece was going to snap if I just drilled a screw right through it. So I just decided to pre-drill a hole and then screwed the pieces together in from the back so the shelf would be nice and upright. I also then needed to add a means to hang it, so I just added a Z bracket from a frame that I wasn't using to the top of the back of this frame here. And this is how it came together. For just a few dollars, I added a little bit more functionality to my space and a lot more visual interest. And sometimes you don't even need to do anything to the pieces. For example, I found both of these wooden blocks here. These can be used in so many different ways. And I really love this piece here from Anthropologie, but $58 just seems a little much for what it is. So just taking these thrifted blocks that already have a slot for the cactus to go, it's a nearly identical look, but on a major budget. Of course, in an Anthropologie video, we have to talk about glassware, lots of tortoise, lots of tinting, lots of pattern, lots of fluting, but you can also find all of those same sorts of things at the thrift store if you just do a little bit of digging and if you're pretty consistent in how often that you're going. With Valentine's Day, or for my single girls, Galentine's Day, my girlfriends and I do a gift exchange that is thrifted for under $15. And it's always so fun to see what everybody kind of comes up with. So starting off with this basket that is seagrass, was just $1 at the Hartville thrift shop. I always like to lace something on the inside of my baskets. So a scarf during this time of year is a really nice option. Scarves at Anthropologie can be a small fortune. So the fact that this was probably maybe 20 cents at the bins, just washed it, dried it, decided to just place it in the bottom of this basket here as kind of like a liner. With the new year comes all of the New Year's resolutions, so adding a kind of health-focused gift like a healthy cookbook. These books at Anthropologie are at least $30. I found this one for 50 cents. Now, another form of glassware that you'll see often is iridescent glassware, and you can find this all the time at the thrift stores. So I only found 2 of these wine glasses, which is perfect for a Valentine's Day or a Galentine's Day gift exchange. So they just really needed to be cleaned because they were quite dirty. So I just cleaned them, polished them, and they were good as new. I also like to add some sort of a tray. This could be for candle or charcuterie. Just gave it a quick clean. Added in our glassware as well as some rosé bottles that I got for a gift that I won't drink. This candle that I also thrifted that smelled so good. Whenever I'm creating a gift basket, I like to coordinate the colors, so that exterior of that candle color was just perfect, went with the rest of the gift. I also like to add some form of greenery. Eucalyptus is a really great one because it dries beautifully as well. So I just decided to pop that in there. Last piece to finish it off, I found this iridescent, either like a bulb vase, or she could use it for matches, just add a little striker to the bottom and fill it with a cork. Also could be really cute. A gift like this from Anthropologie would be well over $100, and I spent just about $14 on this entire gift, and I think it looks so cute. With all that being said, that really wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments which find or project or hack was your favorite, and I will see you guys all next Sunday. Bye for now.